Every year, we see the same boring standard smartphones shaped like black rectangles that just work. There's no more of that crazy wild stuff we had back in the 2000s when Samsung made a smartphone that could literally catch fire right in our hands. Sure, it only happened once, but hey, at least it was a feature. As smartphone makers really run out of imagination, and as the trashiest thing you'll see gonna be a Xiaomi that costs over $1,000. To save you from your gray, boring everyday life, I dug up the trashiest smartphones. Brew some coffee and press hard on your eye sockets to watch this cartoon. Let's go. Xiaomi QIN 2 Pro and QIN F22 Pro. Let's start with something light, like Xiaomi's King lineup. Yeah, they have a partner brand that makes compact smartphones that look, to put it mildly, unusual. This is the Xiaomi QIN 2 and its Pro and Ultra versions. Angular design, compact, style, fashion, youth vibes. Or as they say on TickTock, cringe for the keks. Basically, for lovers of Chinese weirdness, this is just a perfect... Oh wait, no, they also have the QIN F22 Pro. A compact button smartphone running Android with a tiny 3.5-inch display, MediaTek G85 and Android 12, plus a touchscreen where you can bring up a QWERTY keyboard for convenient text input. And there's a selfie camera, buttons, a speaker grill so your double chin shows up better. Honestly, I can't even imagine who would need a smartphone like this. Write in the comments if you're one of those people so I could ban you right away. Fairphone 5. Eco-friendly smartphone for Amsterdam hipsters who want to save the planet but aren't ready to give up TickTock. Whole body made from 70% recycled aluminum, tool-free removable battery, screen and cameras replaceable in 15 minutes with a screwdriver. Qualcomm QCM6490, 8GB of RAM, and a 15-megapixel main camera. They promise support until 2033, longer than Hollywood marriages. Run slower than a turtle with lumbago, but your conscience is clean, and you can brag to your friends about how eco-friendly you are. Price: €699, like flagships, but twice as slow. HiSense HiReader Pro. Ask yourself, when was the last time you read fiction books? For me lately, it's been Airwick Morning Fresh and Glade Juicy Berry. Absolute bestsellers for sure. But if I had the HiSense HiReader Pro, I'd definitely reread the entire library. Because this isn't just a smartphone. It's a smartphone e-reader with e-ink, Snapdragon 662, 4GB of RAM and 64GB of storage, 6.1 inches, 16 shades of gray, and refresh rate of up to 20 Hz. Maybe even less. You can install any reading app thanks to Android. And this smartphone will probably live forever judging by the 4000 mAh battery and e-ink screen. You can watch YouTube at 15 FPS for a year until you go blind. Still, gotta admit, the core idea behind this device is still pretty decent. Poptel V9. When's the last time you used a landline phone? No? Well, I haven't had one for like 300 years either. Wait, what do you mean they still make them? Turns out they do, and they make them beautifully. This is the Poptel V9. An Android landline phone. It's got an 8-inch touchscreen, dual SIM support, 2GB of RAM and 16GB of built-in storage. There's a front camera for video calls. The handset has buttons for volume control, call rejection, and so on. The coolest thing is that this landline phone can be used as a smartphone hub. But the battery is only 1800 mAh. On one hand, that's not much, but on the other hand, it's still a stationary device and it doesn't need more. Worst case scenario, you can just plug the device into a charger and leave it like that. Kyocera DuraForce Ultra 5G UW. The Japanese decided that regular IP68 protection is for weaklings and made the MIL STD 810H standard smartphone that'll survive a nuclear winter. Snapdragon 765G, 6GB of RAM, and most importantly, you can drop it from 1.5 meters onto concrete every day. The Sapphire Shield screen is impossible to scratch even with keys. Only downside, brightness is just 500 nits, so on sunny days you'll only see your own miserable reflection. But it works with gloves and even wet hands. Perfect for blue-collar workers. SOYES S10i. Next up, we have a piece of Chinese art. A smartphone with 5 cameras, compact size, and bright dynamic something. But judging by AliExpress reviews, it's slow and gets hot. And yeah, you're gonna laugh, there's Face ID here, but it's just a separate app that you can simply delete. Google level security right there. But also on their AliExpress page, the manufacturer claims the processor has a whopping 3GB of RAM and 32GB of storage, and it's 23% more powerful than what, you ask? I'll ask too, because they just wrote that it's more powerful, and that's it. 2000 mAh battery. And here's the funniest part. The manufacturer claims it supports 120 watt fast charging. So basically, you won't have time to say supercalifragilisticexpialidocious before the smartphone is fully charged. 3.5 inches, Face ID, 5 cameras, 120 watt fast charging. It's like the smartphone description was written by someone who survived being struck by lightning, but is still seeing double. The NoPhone is the best smartphone in the world. Waterproof, unbreakable, doesn't need charging or updates. No need to buy cases for it, plus, it's the cheapest smartphone in the world. So what's the catch? Why do they want 10 bucks for it? This is the NoPhone. It's just a piece of plastic shaped like a smartphone. The funniest part is that it was so successful that they released the second version with selfie support. They just stuck a mirror in it. The phone's production cost was $2, and by 2025, they had sold over 15,000 units with lifetime revenue reaching around $300,000. Not bad for selling absolutely nothing. By the way, later the creators released an Air version, meaning a lightweight model. Yeah, you understood correctly, the NoPhone Air is literally just an empty phone-shaped package for $5. It's so minimalist it doesn't even exist. You'll say it's insane to call this a smartphone, but hey, people call folding Galaxy phones innovative when they break after 6 months. So we've clearly lowered the bar. Yeah, only something this cringeworthy could compete with it. Like this giant granite iPhone. It's a tombstone shaped like an iPhone that they put up for a woman who was involved in Apple product supply. ASUS ROG Phone 8 Pro. Gaming smartphone with Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, 24GB of RAM, more than many laptops, and ROG Vision RGB lighting that blinks like a Christmas tree having an epileptic fit, 6.78-inch screen with 165Hz refresh rate, faster than gaming monitors, comes with Aeroactive Cooler X fan for cooling. Yes, damn it, a fan with built-in buttons. 6,000 mAh battery charges in 39 minutes at 65 watts. Because nothing screams I'm an adult like a smartphone with a CPU cooler and lighting like a tuned car. Samsung W2019. Speaking of Samsung, did you know they make flip phones? I mean, not these shameful folds and flips, but real flip phones from the 2000s. The thing is, the Chinese market is a completely different world where classic flip phones are still cool and the Chinese love them. China is such a huge market that Samsung exclusively develops the W lineup just for it, which includes masterpieces like the W2019, a premium flip phone with external and internal 4.2-inch displays and other goodies for the Chinese market. Unfortunately, the lineup got discontinued. Giant iPhone 14 Pro Max Plus Ultra. This is the world's biggest iPhone, built by blogger Matthew Beam. It stands 7 feet tall and weighs 486 pounds. He built it from a huge TV with an attached touchscreen, and for the system, there's a mini Mac with an Android emulator styled to look like iOS. And practically everything works on this device, even NFC payments. These guys flew to New York to pay for purchases using the smartphone, and also bought the iPhone 14 Pro Max Ultra to Marcus Brownlee. He didn't beat around the bush and said the iPhone wasn't a perfect 10, only because the lack of Siri. Though I think it's impossible to imagine a more cringe smartphone than a giant iPhone running Android on Mac. So what do you picture in your head if I say the next one is the ranking in a pretentious show-off smartphone? iPhone 16 Pro Max with 1TB? Nope. It's the gold Galaxy S21 Ultra. Or rather, in gold. In gold in the literal sense. They attached the 24-karat 999 purity gold overlay, weighing 1 kilogram, to the phone. Caviar only made 7 units of these gold phones. It'll come in a luxurious white case with a combination lock. But the craziest part is that the S21 Ultra's main feature is the ultra zoom camera, and the kilogram gold bar completely covers the camera, so it's basically nothing there. They cut it out. Plus, there's no wireless charging, and you can't pay for groceries with a smartphone. Tank 2. 22,000 mAh and a projector. A couple of years ago, I was at MWC where I was amazed by a smartphone with an 18,000 mAh battery. Why would you need such a beast? Just some experimental edge case that'll never go into actual retail, I thought. Hold my batsu, said Chinese Unihertz, and released the Tank with a 22 mAh battery, then a second version with 15,000 mAh. And here they are now. Let's talk. Yeah, you can use the smartphone as a power bank, but the trash doesn't end there. They installed a giant flashlight on the back that can work as a strobe. And in the second version, they stuck in another giant flash. Why, you ask? Because screw you, answers a little Chinese guy as he stuffs a DLP projector into the Unihertz Tank 2. Yeah, you heard that right. These guys crammed literally anything they could in there. Absolutely everything. The lights work like police strobes flashing red and blue. The most childlike smartphone in our ranking is the Sugar A100. Sweet like your sweet behind. First off, check out how cute it looks. Second, well, cuteness overload. It comes with this cool case in the box. The phone's main feature is the giant speaker at the bottom plus a volume wheel for adjusting sound. Turns out the volume of this giant speaker is lower than regular smartphones, so it's basically just for show. The processor and 3.5-inch grainy display will make even the most brutal dude cry. This smartphone is less useful than a toy phone bought at the market from a grandma with sad eyes. Unihertz Luna. Our beloved Unihertz, besides the tank with a 20,000 mAh battery, created another curious smartphone called Luna. It was so cool that Nothing Phone's creator Carl Pei himself took a photo with it. The thing is, Luna copies Nothing Phone's concept. The Chinese version has flat edges and LED backlighting on the back, but unlike Nothing Phone's white backlighting, here it's colorful, bright and beautiful. Only problem is the screen here is just 300 nits of brightness. To put this into perspective, the latest iPhone has 2000 nits of brightness. Plus, the display refresh rate is only 60 Hz, which is pretty embarrassing, and it weighs 300 grams. The iPhone 14 Pro Max only weighs 250. By the way, it's all plastic, except maybe the screen is glass, and I'm not even sure about that. Frankly, everything looks like a cheap knockoff, and the camera module looks like someone just slapped a plastic plate on there. At about $300, I don't see the point considering the original costs about the same. TickTock 5G rugged phone. Remember the legendary Meizu Pro 7 with a second screen? The smartphone flopped, but it really captured my heart, partly because of the second screen on the back of the device. Well, the Chinese from the same Unihertz made this beauty with a second round screen and named it with an inappropriate word, TickTock. Classic rugged smartphone style with IP68 protection, 6000 mAh battery, and a weak Unisoc Tiger 700 processor. The second screen can be used as a watch, though there are only 11 watch faces. There's also music switching. You can use it for a compass and naturally for selfies too. Hibom HB01. The first and only smartphone for streamers. Now, I understand that any smartphone can be used for streaming, but this is a special case. The smartphone has special video stabilization developed by some hardcore Chinese company, special software that automatically applies makeup and various enhancements during streams. And most importantly, it comes with a separate Bluetooth microphone remote. The microphone is needed for talking into it. As unexpected as that may sound, right? Using special buttons, you can apply effects like echo, squeaky voice, and so on. You can also trigger different sounds right after your words. On the back, there's an LED panel for displaying notifications, and this was before we had it. Among other goodies, there's a stand with a 10,000 mAh battery and a bag for carrying all this stuff. And essentially, in reality, the smartphone was suitable for live streaming like any other. The cameras were mediocre, same with the screen. They didn't make it to the top, but it deserves attention. The cycle phone. A smartphone with a round display is quite awful because Android's interface is square-shaped. So when opening apps, there's some leftover wallpaper chunks on the sides. Ulefone Armor 15. With built-in earphones. Don't even ask, I don't know why and what for this exists. A flexible iPhone that some Chinese guy assembled from Moto, Razer, and Pixel 7 Pro parts with connecting volume buttons and disgusting connectivity. Well friends, I used to love these creepy devices. They're way better than regular rectangles where you know everything and don't expect any tricks. But with age, and more precisely with kids, you don't really want to see surprises anymore and want more stability, I guess.